Hey everyone, my name is Josh, and this is the Star Wars Toys YouTube channel. Today we're going to unbox a 6-inch Black Series. This is Clone Commander Fox. So let's go cut this guy loose. Alright everyone, here we are with a 6-inch Black Series Clone Commander Fox. And we're going to unbox this guy today, but before we get that far, I just want to take a second to ask you guys, if you're enjoying the channel, if you're enjoying the videos, subscribe to the channel. We would love to have your support here. It helps us grow, and we really appreciate you watching. Back to Clone Commander Fox. We're going to unbox this guy today, but real quick, let's take a look at the packaging. And I'll go ahead and spin that around so you guys can look at it. And so one thing that's a little bit different about this figure is he is a store exclusive. So he is a store exclusive for GameStop, and he came out on October 4th, and he was part of the Triple Force Friday release. And so if you're familiar with Black Series, you know most of them have numbers, and since this guy's unnumbered like that, when you see that on the box, what that means is it's a store exclusive. And so what you have on the back, of course, is a quick character description, and I'll go ahead and read that for you guys. Clone Commander Fox. Commander Fox led the Coruscant Guard, an elite clone trooper unit assigned to serve as peacekeepers on the Galactic Republic capital. So they're basically explaining to you that he's like the chief of police, I guess. So he does appear in the Clone Wars animated show, and I believe I have this right. He appears at one of the final final episodes when they arrest Ahsoka and she's framed. I believe he's in that episode is where he appears, or at least that's off the top of my head the one I can think of or remember that he's in. But let's get him out of here and check. Oh cool, there's actually an extra blaster in here that you can't see in the packaging, so very cool. There he is. And this is what I love about Black Series, or one of the things I love about them. All these accessories. You got a short rifle, long rifle, and 2 pistols. Very cool. So let's get these suckers out of here. And they're soft. And these guys are taped in. We're probably going to have to cut them out of here. Uno, dos. Excellent. And then, of course, Clone Commander himself. Whoa. Flinging packaging everywhere. Okay, here he is. Very cool. We got the dual color armor here. Obviously the bright red and the white. I believe that's emblem for the Senate or the Republic. I apologize, I don't have that off the top of my head. You got the flexible, I guess I don't think skirt's the proper word for it, but the skirting that hangs down over his legs is cloth, and you can see they've got red highlights on it, a red highlight around the edge. And then let's see here, I'm wondering if any of these accessories on his helmet do anything. I'm just checking them out. So you have a couple antennas sticking out, what looks like. You got a little bit of flexible one here, and another flexible light or antenna or something like that over his visor. So very cool. Always a fan of the troopers. Who isn't? Okay, so and no, the helmet does not come off. Let's run through his articulation real quick here and see what he does. because sometimes you have a little bit of restricted movement with the guys with this much armor. But so up and down and side to side, you got full rotation, but it feels like his head is on a ball joint, but it's just really tight. There's not a lot of movement. And then going down to his arm here, you should have up and down. And so this is what I'm noticing that they're doing with a lot of the characters that have armor now. They're actually, some of the older ones, the armor would actually restrict the articulation. And what they're doing here is you can see the armor shoulder pad is actually sliding over the chest piece, so it doesn't restrict the movement as much. So I like it's. They just put a little bit of flexibility in the movement on these shoulder pieces, and I'm liking that. It looks good, works good. So there's about the extent of your up movement from the side. You should have full rotation. Down here at the elbow, you should have up and down articulation, and then they put the rotation on his arm up here. They hid the articulation point at where the armor meets up with his arm, the suit, where the armor ends. So it's not as obvious that there's an articulation point there. And then looking at his wrist, you should have a rotation, and it looks like palm to hand, up and down. Let's see here. Yeah, so you have a lot of down movement on it, but when you try to go up, and this is what I was talking about earlier, you can only go up about that far because the little piece of armor on the top of his hand is hitting the wrist gauntlet. So a little bit of restricted movement there, and it's just on the wrist backwards movement. And then just let's look at his. Okay, so he's just a little stiff. I'm having trouble getting him to move. So he does have wrist articulation on his other hand, but you can see it goes from like thumb to pinky. It's a little bit different. And I have a feeling it's going to have something to do with him interacting with the rifles. So we will get to that point. All right, so moving down from there, you have body articulation, and they hid the articulation point under the armor plate for the chest piece, and you have full rotation and up and down, and it feels like it's on a ratchet, so it kind of like clicks and moves. So I guess that's for display purposes. And then going up from there, you're gonna have forward and then backwards movement, and a little bit of side to side, and then you're going to have a rotation point at the top of the leg, and it's not going all the way around, but they hid the articulation point right here at the under the armor again. And what it is when you rotate it all the way around, the top of the leg armor starts to hit the crotch piece, so that's the full extent of your rotation on his leg. You can't go all the way around. And that's another example of what I was talking about with sometimes the armor on some of these characters can get in the way of the articulation. And then you have knee forward and back, and then ankle forward, back, and there should be a rotation as well. Very cool. Okay, so, and then final thing here you got is the belt is not glued to him. I do not see how it comes off, and it doesn't appear to be attached to the skirting at all. So they're two separate pieces, but they look like they're one, but they are not. So there you go. There is the belt's not glued to him, it's loose, and again, I don't see any way to disconnect it or take it off of him if you're interested in that. Okay, so let's take a look at these blasters and see how he interacts with them, and we will start with the pistolas. So you get two of the clone pistols. They're just black. There's no highlight on them at all. Flexible rubber. They got a little flex to them. And let's see, other thing I wanted to look at real quick was the difference in his hand sculpts. And they're pretty much the same, except his right hand, the trigger finger is just sticking out a little bit more, but not a whole bunch. So let's see how he interacts with these things here. So pistols first. Very cool. So you got the trigger finger that lines up, and it's just a little bit big to go in the hole, but that is fine. Wow, he's got a tight grip. Okay. So the pistol seems to fit a little better, a little more naturally in his right hand. I think that looks a little better, but since you have two, obviously you're going to have to put one in each hand. And this is what I was talking about, why the trigger finger was out a little bit more. You can slide it down into the pistol trigger guard. But it still looks cool. It looks fine. I'm just trying to show you guys that there's a difference in the hands. And then just to check, let's see how well the holsters work. And what's very cool about them, they're some of the more detailed holsters I've seen lately. This little swoop out piece here on the back actually has a cutout in it for the trigger. So when you, or the trigger guard, so when you slide the pistol in there, it actually cups up against the trigger guard. So very cool, very nice. I like it. And they're in there nice and tight. They're not coming out. That's obviously what you want to see. So, all right, let's go to the short rifle. And this is the same thing. It's just like a black flexible plastic. And they put like a little highlighted gray paint on there to give it some like wear used look to it. So you can kind of see the gray highlights. But let's go ahead and see how he interacts with this thing. Okay, so here you go, and Trooper's right hand looks good. It's got a really tight grip. Just all the grips on these latest Black Series, they have really good grip on the, I mean, I can't even budge it out of the trigger finger. Goes in the trigger guard, looks nice, looks natural. Very cool. So just to be thorough, I'm pretty sure the trigger and handle on all these guns are meant to go into his right hand, but I just want to show you guys that it's a little bit bigger grip. I just want to show you guys that they can be used in both hands, and it's a little bit bigger grip than the pistol, so it doesn't fit quite as well, but it's in there. It's nice and tight. It's not coming out. So, very cool. Okay, and then finally we have the long rifle. So, same thing. This one's a flexible plastic. They put a little bit of gray highlight paint on it to give it that used look. I think it looks pretty cool. So let's see how he interacts with this thing here. And we'll start with his right hand again due to the trigger finger. And it just feels like as we go up with each blaster, the handle's just a little bit bigger. Just a little bit, but there we go, popped right in. Okay, so very cool grip, looks good. Trigger finger in there, nice looking. And just to be thorough, I want to see if this thing fits in his other hand, and it does. And again, the grips are a little bit bigger than the pistol grip, so it's not quite as natural looking, but he's got it. It's not coming out, so either or hand. But I think one of the things they kind of expected you to do with this. And this has a lot to do with why they changed the wrist articulation from hand to hand. You want that thumb to pinky articulation like that so you can adjust the rifle properly in his hand. And it's the same thing with the other one. That's why you want it that way, so you can do the dual grip. There you go. I think maybe I might be having him grip a little bit long on the rifle. I'm not sure exactly where you're supposed to grab the... Is that it? But you can see what I'm trying to get across here, that you can two-hand grip the rifle. So, very cool. All right, now I want to give him what I like to call the final test here. And I've just been messing with his articulation so much, he's not one to stand up for me here. All right, there you go. He does stand on his own. You don't need a stand for this guy. And that should be the case for most of the Black Series figures, but there you go. All right, guys, there you have it from the Black Series 6-inch line. This is Clone Commander Fox, and he is a GameStop exclusive. So if you want to pick him up, you got to go to GameStop. And thanks for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it. And if you're enjoying the videos, you're enjoying the content we're creating here, please support the channel. We'd love to have your support. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel, and you're going to help us grow. So that would be really great. Thanks for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.